In rock climbing photography, there's two main elements to it. You've got the action, you've got the climber, the physical thing the climber is doing on the rock, and then you've also got the holistic image, the landscape, the situation, the setting, the rock architecture. So you've got these two sort of elements that you're trying to balance up. Some of my strongest images have come from an idea. I think, what is special about this place or this climb? And then how can I show that? How can I bring that into my photograph? How can I emphasize it? What angles do I need? What time of day, what time of year do I have to be to get that? And then I sort of back engineer it and I think, how do I get into the position? Obviously, one of the big challenges in climbing photography is getting into position. So sometimes you want to be out from the cliff to be able to get a view looking in. You're working in a physically difficult environment that's hard to move around. Like if you want to get somewhere, it can be difficult. And there's sometimes a hypothetical place you want to be where you're going to get the ideal angle on a climb, and then you've got to figure out if it's possible to rig the ropes that way and how do you safely get into position.
Whew. Here I am out at Hanging Rock. I'm just waiting for Meg. She's just started up the climb. Got a bit of rigging going on here. I've abseiled down on this rope above me about 25 metres. Then I've got another rope hanging off to the side here. It enables me to pull myself left or right to the side. Gives me a bit of control. And I've got this third rope here running all the way across to the end of Hanging Rock.
I'm often looking for what's unique and trying to emphasise that. Here in the Blue Mountains, for example, one of the unique things is you get these inversion layers where the cloud will be sitting down in the bottom of the valleys in the morning. So I spent years trying to think of an angle where I could get climbing, first light at dawn with an inversion layer in the background and bring those elements together. Another example would be one of my shots from the Devil's Tower, which is this amazing volcanic plug in Wyoming in the USA. There's these amazing columns of rock and I wanted to emphasize that. I ended up building like a pole apparatus which had my camera out on the end of an 8-metre long painter's pole suspended by some rigging, and that enabled me to get my camera out to get the angle on that. Another place that I love to photograph is the Grampians in Victoria. It's got these amazing orange rocks, so I'm often looking at ways to emphasise these beautiful walls and bring that landscape really into the picture. And another thing that I really like to do is work with silhouettes. It's like my shot from Vietnam there was a silhouette of a climber above the ocean. One of the challenges in climbing photography is often visually the image can be quite messy. So you might be using a long lens to try and separate the climber from the background, or you might be shooting wide to try and compress things and get close to the climber to show them. Definitely cleaning up the image is one of the challenges in photography. Part of that's the light, part of that's the composition, the lens choice, your apertures, and there's different ways you can go about it. When you're shooting, the photogenic bit might actually just come down to one small section of the climb, and then there might be just subtle things that the climber is doing with their body position when they're sort of out from the rock and you've finally got a nice body position where you can see all the limbs and the face. There might be just a moment where that happens, so you have to be like firing off a lot of shots with the motor drive when that happens, but you have to have everything else right. Climbing and photography were my passions when I was really young. Photography was really a way of sharing my passion and my love of climbing with other people. I guess I kind of dreamt about maybe combining them one day, but it was a very long process before I ended up combining them, and I consider myself very lucky that I was able to do that.